What if the reason you are not making more money right now has nothing to do with the economy, your job, your qualifications, or how hard you hustle, and everything to do with the fact that you are unconsciously, invisibly, and very efficiently blocking it? Jen Sincero spent years being broke, not unlucky, not uneducated, not lazy, broke. By her late 30s, she was living in a converted garage, coaching clients while quietly panicking about how to pay rent. And then something shifted, not in her circumstances, not in the economy, not in her opportunities, but in her. She stopped managing her limitations and started questioning them. She stopped tolerating her financial ceiling and started examining the invisible architecture holding it up. Within a few years, she had built a multiple six-figure coaching business and written one of the most energetically alive books about money and success ever put on paper. That book is You Are a Badass at Making Money, and today we are breaking it all the way down through the CosmiReads manifestation lens, because Jen Sincero does not separate wealth from energy, and neither do we. Welcome back to the Wealth Edit by CosmiReads. If you watched video 1 on the psychology of money, you already know that your money story is your manifestation story. Morgan Housel showed us the psychological architecture, the programs, the thermostat, the invisible identity ceilings. Jen Sincero picks up exactly where he left off, but she does not speak in the measured language of a financial journalist. She speaks in the urgent, audacious, occasionally profane language of someone who has been broke, figured out why, changed it completely, and refuses to let you stay comfortable in your own limitation. Where Housel diagnosed the problem, Sincero is the intervention. She is the loud, loving friend who grabs you by the shoulders and says, "Your comfort zone is not protecting you. It is costing you every single day." And the universe, which Sincero speaks about as naturally as she speaks about rent, is ready to co-create the abundant life with you the moment you decide to stop playing small. If Dispenza taught us to rewire the brain, and Murphy taught us to reprogram the subconscious, Sincero teaches us to take the hand of the universe and leave. This video is that leave. Before we get into the chapters, let us spend a moment with Jen Sincero herself, because her story is the first and most important real-life example in the book. She was not someone who grew up broke and then found her way out. She was someone who grew up middle class, went to college, built a life, and somehow still found herself in her late 30s with near zero savings, mounting debt, and a creeping suspicion that she was the common denominator in her own financial stagnation. She was intelligent, motivated. She had skills people genuinely valued, but she had an invisible upper limit she kept hitting every time momentum built. An unconscious program running beneath all her effort that said, "This much and no more." Sound familiar? Sincero hired a coach she could not afford, made decisions that terrified her, took actions that had no guarantee attached. And the universe responded, not metaphorically, practically. Opportunities appeared, doors opened, money arrived in forms she had not planned for. She wrote, "You are a badass at making money, not as theory, but as testimony." And the testimony is this: the moment you commit to your own abundance with total sincerity, the universe begins committing to you. The first key concept in Sincero's world is what she calls the Big Snooze, and it is one of the most precise and useful descriptions of the ego's role in keeping you financially stuck that I have ever encountered. The big snooze is the part of you that has decided your current reality is the safest possible version of your life. It knows what is familiar, it has mapped the territory, and it will do absolutely everything in its power to keep you inside that familiar map, even when the map is leading you directly away from everything you want. The big snooze disguises itself as practicality, as wisdom, as responsibility. It sounds like, I cannot afford to take that risk right now. It is not the right time. I need to be realistic. What if it does not work? It feels like caution, but it is actually avoidance dressed in sensible clothing. And here is what makes it insidious. The big snooze activates most powerfully right at the edge of a breakthrough. When the opportunity is real, when the decision matters, when the leap would actually change your life, that is precisely when the inner voice gets loudest. Murphy taught us that the subconscious runs programs from childhood. Dispenza taught us that the body becomes the mind. Sincero gives that same phenomenon its most honest name. The big snooze is not protecting you, it is keeping you asleep to your own potential. You may remember Claire from the last video, the woman who grew up watching her mother cry over bills and spent her 30s earning well but spending with guilt. Claire came back. She had done the money story audit from the Psychology of Money Challenge and found the program. But then something interesting happened. She found a mentor whose program would genuinely transform her business. And the moment she went to register, her inner voice exploded. You already spent money on development this year. You do not have proof this will work. Wait until things are more stable. She almost talked herself out of it. Then she recognized the voice. It was not wisdom. It was the big snooze, running the same scarcity program her mother had installed, just wearing a new costume. She registered. The program changed her business, and she said afterwards, the most dangerous moment was not the leap. It was the 3 minutes before the leap when everything in me tried to make the leap feel irresponsible. The second key concept is the one that distinguishes Sincero's approach from every conventional money book ever written. She does not talk about budgets. She does not talk about investment strategies. She talks about your relationship with the universe as a literal financial co-creator. Sincero's core belief, and she states it without apology or qualification, is that there is an infinite source of energy and intelligence available to everyone, that this source wants you to thrive, and that the reason most people do not access it is not because it is unavailable, but because their frequency, their beliefs, their stories, their identity is out of alignment with receiving it. This is not positive thinking. This is not wishing. This is energetic alignment as a practical discipline. When Sincero talks about the universe, she means exactly what Dispenza means when he talks about the quantum field, exactly what Murphy means when he talks about the infinite intelligence of the subconscious, the recognition that there is something larger than your individual effort available to you if you are willing to get into vibrational alignment with it. The practical implication is radical. You stop asking how and start asking who. You stop trying to figure out every step before you take the first one, and you start taking aligned action from a place of trust that the path will reveal itself as you move. The universe does not fund hesitation, it funds commitment. Sofia had been building her interior design business for 2 years. Solid work, good reputation, but stuck at the same income level month after month, working harder without earning more. She read Sincero's book and did something that felt absurd to her analytical mind. She sat down, got quiet, and had an actual conversation with the universe. She wrote down what she wanted with total specificity. Not vague hopes, exact numbers, exact clients, exact kinds of projects. She wrote it not as a wish, but as a co-creative request. The way Sincero teaches it, as a statement of what you are ready to receive and why you are worthy of receiving it. 3 days later, she received a call from an architect she had met once at a networking event 18 months earlier. He had a major project. Her exact kind of work, her exact desired fee. She had not followed up with him. She had not sent a portfolio. She had not done anything except get into alignment with what she wanted. Sofia does not fully understand what happened, but she has repeated the process 4 times since then with 4 similar results. She calls it her co-creation practice. She does it every Sunday morning as part of her miracle morning. The third key concept is what Sincero identifies as the upper limit problem, a term she borrows from Gay Hendricks and makes entirely her own. The upper limit is the invisible income and success ceiling your nervous system has decided is the maximum safe amount for you to receive. Not the maximum you are capable of, not the maximum you desire, the maximum your subconscious has decided is safe before something bad happens. Every time you approach that ceiling, through a big opportunity, a windfall, a period of momentum, you unconsciously sabotage it. You start a fight with your partner. You take on a client you should not. You get sick. You make a financial decision that sets you back. You introduce chaos precisely when stability was building, not because you are self-destructive, because your nervous system has decided that this much abundance is unfamiliar and unfamiliar equals dangerous. Sincero teaches that recognizing the upper limit is the work. The moment you can catch yourself mid-sabotage and name it, there I am at my ceiling again, you gain the power to push through it rather than unconsciously retreat from it. Husserl called this the financial thermostat in video 1. Sincero calls it the upper limit. They are describing the same phenomenon. Both agree on the solution. You have to consciously choose a new set point and then take actions that vote for it every single day. James came back too. You may remember James Sincero, the man who had been practicing manifestation for 2 years without his bank account moving and who discovered the hidden belief that staying wealthy was for other people. He had done the work from video 1. He had reset his thermostat. He had built new identity statements. And then something extraordinary happened. He landed the biggest client of his consulting career. 3 times his previous highest contract. He should have been celebrating. Instead, he found himself starting unnecessary arguments with his wife, getting distracted from deliverables, and waking at 3 a.m. convinced he had made promises he could not keep. He recognized it. He had read Sincero. He knew exactly what was happening. He was at his upper limit, and every alarm system in his nervous system was firing. He kept going anyway. He delivered the work. He kept the client. He raised his standard rate the following month. And he told me afterwards, the upper limit is not a wall. It is a test. It is the universe asking, are you serious about this? Prove it. The 4th key concept is Sincero's relentless, loving, absolutely no excuses instruction to stop playing small, and specifically her identification of comfort zones as the enemy of abundance. Sincero defines playing small as any pattern of behavior, thought, or self-presentation that keeps you operating beneath your actual capacity in order to stay comfortable, accepted, or safe. It shows up as undercharging. It shows up as over-delivering without being compensated. It shows up as shrinking your vision to match your current circumstances instead of expanding your circumstances to match your actual vision. It shows up as staying in the job, the relationship, the business model, or the income bracket that feels tolerable rather than making the terrifying leap toward what you actually want. Sincero's teaching here connects directly to Clear's atomic habits in a profound way. Clear showed us that identity drives behavior, that you act consistently with who you believe you are. Sincero shows us that playing small is an identity, not a circumstance. You're not playing small because your situation is limiting you. You are playing small because the version of yourself you currently inhabit has decided that small is appropriate. The work is not to change your situation first. The work is to change the identity you inhabit, and then watch the situation become impossible to maintain. Marcus was a freelance brand strategist who had been charging the same hourly rate for 4 years. He was excellent at his work. Clients referred him constantly, asked him to stay on retainer, told him he had changed their businesses. And he was charging less than junior employees at the agencies his clients had left to hire him. He knew it. His wife knew it. Everyone around him knew it. But every time he considered raising his rates, he heard the voice, "What if they leave? What if they say it is too much? What if I lose the momentum I have built?" He read Sincero's chapter on playing small and sat with an uncomfortable question. Am I protecting my business, or am I protecting my fear? He raised his rates by 60%. He sent one email to every active client. He did not apologize. He did not offer a grandfather clause. He stated the new rate and the date it was effective, and he thanked them for the relationship. He lost one client. He kept everyone else. 2 clients responded that they were glad he had finally raised his rates because they had been concerned he was undervaluing himself. Within 6 months, his income had more than doubled. Not because he took on more work, but because he stopped funding his own smallness. The 5th key concept is the one Sincero is perhaps most practically specific about, and it is also the one most people in this community most urgently need to hear. Charge what you are worth, not what feels safe, not what you think people will pay, not what someone else in your field charges. What you are actually worth, based on the transformation you create, the results you deliver, and the full depth of the value you bring to every person you work with. Sincero's argument is not just practical, it is energetic. When you undercharge, you are making an energetic statement about your own value. You are broadcasting a frequency that says, "What I offer is not worth full investment," and the universe and your clients take you at your word. Undercharging creates a transactional energy of scarcity and resentment that corrodes the quality of your work and the quality of your relationships. Charging what you are worth creates an energetic exchange of full respect from your client toward you, and crucially, from you toward yourself. Sincero also addresses the fear that raising your prices will cost you clients. Her answer is direct. The clients who leave when you charge what you are worth were never your actual clients. The ones who stay and the new ones who arrive at your new frequency are. Layla was a holistic health coach who had been building her practice for 3 years. She charged $120 per session and was fully booked. which sounds like success until you realize she was working 60 hours a week and taking home less than a mid-level admin salary. She came to the "you are a badass at making money" framework, not looking for permission to charge more. She already knew she should. She was looking for the energetic shift that would make it feel true rather than just logical. She did Sincero's worth audit, a process of writing in detail every transformation she had facilitated, every result a client had achieved, every way her work had genuinely changed the arc of someone's life. By the end of the audit, she was in tears, not because she was sad, because for the first time, she could see her work the way her client saw it rather than the way her fear had been narrating it. She raised her rate to $225 per session the following week. She sent the same calm, clear, unapologetic communication Marcus had sent. Her bookings did not fall. They restructured. Fewer sessions at a rate that finally respected the work. Within 90 days, she was working 30 hours a week and earning 40% more. She told me the most profound shift was not in the money. It was in how she showed up for every single session once she knew she was being fully valued. 5 ways to apply "you are a badass" and making money to your manifestation and wealth practice right now. 1. Name your big snooze voice this week. Give it a name. Make it specific. When it speaks, and it will speak loudest right before a breakthrough, recognize it immediately. Say aloud, "That is my big snooze, not my wisdom, not my intuition, my ego protecting its familiar territory." Recognition is the beginning of the end of its power over you. 2. Write your universe co-creation request, not a wish list, a specific, present tense, energetically committed statement of what you are ready to receive and why you are worthy of receiving it. Write it the way Sincero teaches, as a letter to the universe that assumes full partnership, not a prayer of desperation. Then do your miracle morning and read it with Dispenza's elevated emotion. 3. Identify your upper limit signature. What specific behavior do you exhibit right at the edge of a breakthrough? Arguments, procrastination, getting sick, spending money impulsively? Find the pattern and name it. The next time it arises, you will recognize it as the upper limit signal rather than the ceiling itself. 4. Find where you are playing small today. Not theoretically, practically. Where are you undercharging? Where are you over-delivering without compensation? Where are you fitting your vision into your current circumstances instead of expanding your circumstances to match your vision? Identify one specific area and take one specific action today that votes for your actual size. 5. Do the worth audit. Write for 30 minutes on every transformation you have created, every result a client has achieved, every way your work has changed the arc of someone's life. Read it back to yourself with Murphy's knowing. Your subconscious takes you at your own word. The audit changes the word you give it. Your 7-day badass money challenge. Day 1, name and write out your big snooze voice, its favorite phrases, its favorite disguises. Day 2, write your universe co-creation letter in full. Be specific. Be worthy. Day 3, identify your upper limit signature and write the last 3 times it fired. Day 4, find where you are playing small and make one decision today that votes for your actual capacity. Day 5, do the full worth audit and let it move you. Day 6, write or update your charging or income structure based on your worth, not your fear. Day 7, Take one action today that your big snooze said was too much, too soon, or too audacious. Then notice how the universe responds. Drop one word in the comments right now that describes how it felt to stop playing small. Just one word. I read and reply to every single one. You Are a Badass at Making Money is not a book about tactics. It is a book about becoming. You do not attract wealth by managing your limitations more carefully. You attract it by outgrowing them entirely. The big snooze is not your wisdom. The upper limit is not your ceiling. Playing small is not your identity. And the universe is not waiting for you to have everything figured out before it begins to co-create with you. It is waiting for you to decide. Hit the like button if this lit something up in you. Subscribe and hit the bell because the next book in the Wealth Edit series is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it is going to shift the way you see every financial decision you make for the rest of your life. The book and audiobook links plus your free downloads are in the description. Thank you for being part of CosmiReads. Manifest, read, rise. See you in the next one.